Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. In this series, we're aiming to help business owners, business leaders, and fellow coaches by sharing our experience and the experience of our guests who've coached people all around the world in all of different sectors and industries that you can imagine. So, very little more to say other than do please now sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition, and look out for a special offer for our loyal audience at the end of the programme. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Today, I'm joined by Susanne Biro, all the way from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome, Susanne.
Thank you for having me.
Susanne, for the benefit of the audience, could you explain how you now find yourself as an author, a speaker, a coach to leading CEOs and C-suite members? How's your journey got you to here?
Through a lot of tears. I say that humorously, but I really feel like in order to do development work with others, you really have to do all your own development work. So it really has been through a lot of tears. But I think you're asking for something a little bit different. So where I started was, I've always been fascinated by how different people respond to the same situation. Like as a child, I would watch something would occur, and one adult would be really upset, and it would create a huge problem or a huge issue, and another would laugh about it, and it would be no big deal. And I was like, oh, it's so fascinating. It's the exact same thing occurring. And so I would just always watch people and think they must be thinking something different. They must be holding different thoughts in their mind, or making different meaning of that. And then I went on to study psychology at UBC, simply because it was the only subject that I was interested or fascinated by. It was the only subject I wanted to read the textbook versus watch TV. So I thought, well, I'll just continue in that line. And while I was at UBC, my mother had a barbershop in West Vancouver, and she insisted it wasn't a choice. I had to work in the barbershop. So I was trained to be a barber, and I was working with these very powerful men. It was just men that came in, or largely men, and all of them were very, very successful because the section of town, it was Supreme Court judges, company presidents, CEOs. And so I was 17, 18 years old, interacting with these very powerful corporate men. And when you're in a barbershop and you're serving someone, they come in your chair for about half an hour, and it's very intimate because you're touching them. And I learned just so much about emotional intelligence. What do they want to talk about? Do they want to talk? How much do they want to talk versus hear me talk? So I learned a lot of how to interact, again, with very successful men. And then again, I was continued to be fascinated by, well, how do they think? How did they get to where they are? Because I grew up blue collar, so I didn't have, it really showed me a model of what does success at that level look like. And so I was inspired by all these men. And so I just continued down my path in psychology. Then I went on to applied behavior science. And then I started this thing called coaching 24 years ago that very few people knew anything about. And here I am 24 years later. Now I just work with CEOs and executives, just a handful every year. And then I came to write simply because I found myself repeating the same kind of examples or insights or stories that I wanted others to have, that I was seeing with clients after, you see patterns after you do this for some time. And I thought, why don't I write about this? So I can goes out and says, here it is. And then that, of course, led me to write the book. Is 24 years in, I feel like I finally have something to say.
It's a very interesting starting point, psychology for coaching, isn't it? It's an unusual starting point, but when you think about it, a logical one. And one of the fundamentals for coaching is understanding your own self-awareness. If you want to make change, you've got to start somewhere. So it's a very interesting base camp for this kind of work. Many coaches I speak to have had a typical corporate career somewhere along the line, and then for whatever set of reasons, have found themselves becoming professional coaches. So it's an unusual but interesting start point.
Yeah, well, I did have some stint in corporate world as well as an advertising exec for years, which
Right.
is how I felt, how I found coaching. I just
Okay.
found I wasn't as effective as I could have been, but I didn't know why. And so I hired my own coach and then found that process and went, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. Um, so for you now, whilst I understand they could be CEOs and C-suite members, but typically, what as you say, you only work for a handful of clients per year. What is a typical client? What do they look like for you?
Well, they look like I've spent my career trying to gain the skills, the competence, the reputation to work at the highest level, simply because that's where so much change can happen. But I think the process is the same. I mean, I've worked throughout my career. I've worked with 16-year-olds navigating middle school to CEOs running multi-billion-dollar organizations. I think the process is the same because we are all human beings. Behind every powerful title is a human being who is tasked with the same things that you and I are tasked with: managing ourselves well, looking at our impact with others, so that it can create the results that we're intending to have. But we all are so busy and we have so many things coming at us. And of course, the more we become powerful, the more what we do is magnified, both
True.
positive and negative. And I personally find that incredibly exciting. Like Steve Jobs said, "What's your dent in the universe?" My dent is, can I work with the most powerful people on the planet and support them to have someone that can see them still as a human being, someplace where they can feel safe, seen, heard, and supported. Because I think it's very lonely at the top, and it's relentless and it's daunting, and help them become the best version of themselves, who they are trying to be. But not one of us can live that. We all want to be better versions of ourselves, but if we knew how to do that, we'd be doing it. And so there's just ingrained patterns or unawarenesses that we all have, myself included, and to have someone that can gently share that, so that we can go, oh, I can work with that.
Is there a particular kind of organization? Are they all large public companies? Are they not for profits or public sector? Do you have any
Yeah, my
specialization?
my my personal background is no. I've worked across almost every different industry. It's just been the nature of my career. I've worked a lot in tech, but I've also worked a lot in any kind of engineering, all the way, yeah, just across the board, aerospace, you name it, I've probably worked in it. I've been doing this 24 years, and it's pretty much all I've done.
And because of the breadth of experience, the length of experience that you've had, do you find very typical similar problems between your clients, your coaches, or is everyone obviously unique, but is everyone bringing something new?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the um, the details of what they're bringing are different, but the essence is the same. Is I want to be more effective, and we talk about, well, in what ways? Where do you suspect you're really highly effective now? Where do you suspect you're not? Like, what's happening? I want to be a better communicator. Okay, again, in what ways and how? I want to feel better than I do is a big one. It would be great to enjoy my current success more than I do. I don't feel present. I don't feel like I can, I feel out of shape. I put my health in the back seat for far too long. They're very, very human things, because at the end of the day, we are still a human being navigating not only a professional life and all that that demands, but a personal life with aging parents, with children, with spouses, with illness, with divorce, dealing with death of loved ones, and so they're very I think you said it beautifully, is as we know ourselves, we will then know others because we're a perfect specimen to study.
Yeah.
And so the more we know ourselves, the more I think we know all of humanity. And then we have the grace and the compassion for others that is needed.
It's always surprises me, myself included, that the more senior these people get, the bigger the jobs they have, the greater the threat of imposter syndrome, the fear that someone's going to find them out in the end, that they're just mere mortals and why am I doing this job?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you talk about dreaming your way to success and unlocking the power of conscious dreams. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Here's how I define dreaming is if you and I think about a small dream. A dream might be, I really would like to drink more water. I know I'd feel better if I drank more water. Really small, not a huge goal. Um, that is a thought of something that we want to occur. That's a dream. And so, what's the dream? I'd love to wake up in the morning and have a fresh glass of water. If I did that daily, that alone would make me feel better throughout the day. So, we have a thought, and often that thought, if we continue to think, it will be a cause set in motion such that then I will maybe put a glass out for myself. And then I'll wake up in the morning and see that glass and go, oh, I want to drink more water. And I start to create that, and that becomes a habit. Then that becomes the way that I live. That is a small dream. So our thoughts are dreams. Our thoughts can also be nightmares. We spend a lot of time thinking about things that we don't want, and that's the opposite of dreaming. Dreaming is directing your energy, your thoughts, and your attentions to outcomes that you want to occur. And I think it's the core of leadership, whether we lead ourselves in our own lives or within our families to create a family that we want and enjoy and love, or whether we do that leading a multi-billion-dollar organization, the process is exactly the same. Can you continue to direct your thoughts, emotions, your energy and attention towards what you want to occur? And then can you communicate that to enlist others so they want to do the same? And when we look at great leaders, they were always able to do this. I mean, we could take the example of, is it Bugsy Siegel who started Vegas, saw an empty desert and said, here's what I see. And other people said, you're crazy. And then some other people must have said, oh, I can see that now too. Let's see. And then and then you start to build and you start to take action as if that's possible. And then lo and behold, something's created in the material world. And it's how every single thing around us, if we look around us, the furniture, the tables, the products that we use, it was someone's idea in their mind. It was some dream. Hey, it would be cool if this existed.
As a coach, then, whilst you're encouraging people to think about what it is they do and don't want, are you then breaking it down into small steps so that effectively many small steps make a marathon? Is that the building blocks of this? Is that where this is going?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I usually start with if you and I work together and we work together for the course of, 6 months or a year, and you look back and you say, that was the best investment I ever made of my time and my company's financial resources. What would need to be different? So we're starting with a vision. It usually has one tangible aspect, like I would like, that we succeed this milestone or project or something, or I get, this land this new deal or something tangible. But it also always has something intangible. Like I would like to just, I would like to enjoy my leadership role more than I do. So we start with a vision, and then the process is I'll hold that big vision as we work together. And then the process is my client comes with whatever's happening for them, and I have them break it down. And I keep reflecting where you want to go, what's happening now, how do you want to handle this, what do you need to do next? And so that's the beauty of coaching is it's a committed partner, just like a fitness coach. Most of us know how to work out. We don't really We don't really need someone to tell us how to eat and work out as much as we benefit by having someone that witnesses us, that has us to some sort of schedule, and that we can meet with frequently to make sure that it actually occurs. Because again, there's so much each of us is dealing with. It's so easy to lose sight of things that are important to us.
It's really interesting. There's a parallel here to a previous guest on this
Mm.
podcast who talks about, as a coach, not working towards goals, but coaching people into self-discipline.
Mm.
There's no point setting a sales goal. It's meaningless. What you need to do is focus on the things you need to do every day to increase your sales.
Yeah,
Hey presto, if you do that every day, every week, every month, you'll increase your sales.
yeah.
And the goal is simply a limiting factor, because if you say it's an increase of 50%, when you get to 50%, you'll stop. Whereas if that's not what you're chasing, you're just increasing your sales, you'll go past the 50% milestone.
Mm.
And another way of looking at the way you're presenting this is it's the old story of eating an elephant one mouthful at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
And in my experience as a coach, this is a classic way of helping people move through in the course of a coaching program from where they start to where they want to be. So it's
yeah.
great. It's a great new way of describing it. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think there's a couple things there. There is actions really important, because actions, we start to see ourselves become the person we most want to be, and that encourages us to continue. And we also want to change at the level of thought, of an identity. What do I think about making those sales calls? Do I avoid them, or I'm excited? Can I get excited? Um, and what's my identity? Because we will always behave in a manner that is consistent with how we see ourselves. So we really need to, I think, foster, who do I want and intend to be?
Yeah.
Who am I really inside? And then how does that person live? So I think we want to work on, parallel tracks, so that it's sustainable, so that it becomes, because at the end of coaching, I usually will ask a client, here's where we started from. Here are the goals that you set. Did you achieve what you set out to? And they will often say, was that really a thing for me? And I'll say, yeah, that was why you hired me. Such that they are so far removed from it that they can't even conceive that that was a concern or an issue in a very short period of time. And that, I think, is exciting, because we literally become someone else. We think different thoughts, we take different actions, and they just become who we are. And we think, oh, that's so interesting that I worried about that, or that was even a thing. And that's,
Relate.
where we really exciting.
I can relate to this very clearly. Revisiting where people started during the coaching program. How are you doing against this goal? How are you doing against this goal? And they do very frequently move very quickly, because frankly, you can't coach somebody who doesn't want to change, can you? So the
No.
people that are in the room are hungry for whatever set of reasons to change things, and therefore they will. And all you're doing is facilitating that change. But it's interesting, they do forget where they've come from. And sometimes the same applies to their sponsor. So if it's a C-suite member and you're working with the CEO who's asked you to help them, often when the CEO's gone on the same journey and has forgotten what they used to be and what they were trying to change, and has got used to the new status quo. They're quite
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I had one client at the end of our work said, there used to be a lot of jerks in my world. I don't know where they all went. Yeah, that's because you see the world entirely differently. There's just people trying to get their needs met, and you could be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting observation. Where have all the jerks gone?
Where did they all
Might
go?
need to think about this a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your coaching program is a handful of people in a year. Roughly how long is an individual session?
That's like an individual engagement, you mean, or?
Well, individual coaching session. The engagement might be, I guess, for a year or 9 or 12 months.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I usually book every second week for an hour.
An hour.
Yeah, but I work just on retainers, perhaps many coaches do, simply because I want to be able to meet with them as frequently as we need to, or as little as we need to. We don't need to be chitty-chatting about, just because we said we would. It's like, let's meet, give you something to take away now, go apply it with your team and in the real world, and then let's talk. How did it go? What's working? What's not? What's still keeping you up at night? What's bothering you? What needs to happen next? So
Do
lots of
you
flexibility.
engage between sessions as well? So if something erupts in their life and they need someone to talk to or they want to share it, do
They
you take
text me.
a call? Do you get involved with that?
Oh, only if they want me, but they will often text me, can we jump on the phone? I say absolutely, which is why I only take on a handful of people every year. So I've got a lot of bandwidth to meet with them the same day if needed. It's rarely needed. These are very successful men and women, but it's nice to have when it's like something just happens. I just want to think this through, help me gain some perspective. Nice to do that with a sort of in a confidential space with a partner who's not attached to any of it.
And do you work face to face or do you work digitally like this? What's your favorite?
I work I have always worked remotely. So even 24 years ago, for years, I worked solely on the phone. I mean, I have not met the majority of my clients. I wouldn't even know what they looked like.
Wow.
And that format really does still continue to work very well. Now, of course, we have video and we largely use video, but sometimes clients will just say, can we just speak on the phone? Um, because video or in person, and I've done in person, I used to fly to meet with them and, to start the engagement and things like that. But there's something that happens when you're just on the phone where you have a sense of sort of privacy that I find clients can often share more intimate details of things that are occurring for them that would be a little bit harder to share when you're being watched or seen, and especially in person, especially when I would meet with them in their corporate office. So there's benefits and downfalls to sort of any medium we use, but I like to maximize whatever we have available to us through video and phone.
Yeah, there are lots of advantages to meeting face to face, but one of the disadvantages is the people around the coachee can get the impression that they're going in for a therapy session. So it can be a bit negative connotation. Given that that's the case and you contact people by phone or digitally, are most of your clients Canadian? Are they global? What's the approach?
They tend to be global, but attached to a U.S. Company. So almost all my work has always been in the U.S., although I reside in Canada.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just been the way my career has gone.
And a coaching program is between 6 and 12 months or something like that. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I start with a minimum of 6 months. Clients usually extend to a year to 2 years. At that point, I usually say, or my client says, let's take a break. Just continue to,
Yeah.
and then sometimes they'll rehire me down the road.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question because I do believe programs do need to end. Otherwise, you just become a prop or a
Yes,
crutch, which is not helpful. Um,
yes,
but again, in my experience, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, they'll talk to you again and it'll start all over with a different set of intentions. And
yeah.
that's true for you, clearly, from what
Yes,
you just said.
yeah, yeah. And I think there's coaching like, come in here and sort of work on this, one thing with this person or do a 360 and pull out, what would make this person more effective. I think there's also coaching where the about half my clients are highly effective. I mean, they've been doing this for 30 years, running a multi-billion organization with thousands of people reporting into them. It's just nice to have someone that you can speak to that's outside of all your circles, where again, you can be a human being and just process
Yeah.
everything that's coming at you, both personally and professionally. So there's not you know, work on this one thing. It's simply a confidential support structure where I can speak freely and again be a human being, sort out everything coming at me and just feel like, okay, for 1 hour, I had 1 hour about me and my life because everything out there you're giving to your family, you're giving to everyone wants and demands something from you. And so it's 1 hour that's about you.
And independent. You've got no ulterior motives.
Yeah.
You've got no skin in the game in terms of outcomes.
Yeah.
Just
Other than their
out.
well-being and their effectiveness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of the internal development of the organization, that's for others.
Yeah.
Suzanne,
Yeah.
we're coming to the end of this. I've got two more questions. The first
Sure.
is, what for you is the picture of a successful program? When you finish and you look back at a program with a chief exec or a C-suite member, what makes you go, I really enjoyed that. That was great.
I've had several clients say this to me, so this is how I'll answer it, is they will message me in some form and say, I was thinking about you, I wanted to hire you again. I thought of what you would first ask me as we reconnected. I answered those things. Then I went and took those actions, and now I don't need to hire you. And I just wanted you to know you've been coaching me. I said,
You might want to
fantastic.
rethink that again, Suzanne.
Yeah. But I said, that's it, because it's never been me anyways. You and I know this. We simply sort of walk alongside our clients as they do their own best thinking. And they have the time to do that with someone who just provides a little bit of space and perspective, some time and freedom. And so I think that the success is that they just they learn, not learn is the right word. They're reminded of how to do that, that they, that they can simply have that conversation with themselves, and nothing more is needed.
Very good. And my second and last question is, if the audience want to know more, if they want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Sure. Best is my website, SuzanneBiro.com. I have a book coming out soon, so you can go to SuzanneBiro.com/book. And I also have a podcast called the Deep Fear Podcast, Deep Fear to Empowered Leadership in Business and in Life. All of it will be found on my website.
Suzanne,
Thank you for the question.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining the coaching conversation. And that's it for this edition. And thanks for joining us, and see you again next time.
So, there you have it, the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful, and I hope it did what it set out to do. As promised at the beginning of the programme, here is a special offer for you, our loyal audience. If you reach out to me at gwiley@sagegreen.com and mention this podcast, we'll make available to you a coaching programme for you and all your team at a 50% discount. So where can you reach us? So it's definitely gwiley@sagegreen.com. You can also reach us at the Executive Mindset at sagegreen.com, and our website is clearly theexecutivemindset.co.uk. If you enjoyed this, do please leave us with a wonderful rating on Google. We'd really appreciate that. So nothing more for me to say now other than see you again soon.